I'm Spencer.
And I'm Zach, and welcome to Top 10 Takeaways from Spencer and Zach Explore the Universe.
This week, we're going to give you our top 10 takeaways from the classic BBC sitcom, Fawlty Towers. Number 1. The sign out front is constantly changing. Every episode starts with an exterior of the hotel. At first, it just seems the letters are falling off, which is in line with the shabby nature of the hotel. But as the episodes roll on, we learn that the sign is being deliberately sabotaged by the paperboy, who has no doubt been jilted by the miserly Basil Fawlty.
Number 2. Fawlty Towers is one of the best sitcoms of all time. John Cleese, as well as the rest of the cast, are constantly giving an 11 out of 10 performance. Prunella Scales is remarkable as Sybil Fawlty, the order-barking co-owner. Connie Booth as Polly, the well-intended chambermaid. And last but not least, Andrew Sachs is the innocent and often trotted upon Manuel, the bellhop from Barcelona. A true protagonist is hard to find in this show, though by default, the award would have to go to Manuel, as he is the only truly kind-hearted main character on the show. The show's status as one of the best of all time is not only the opinion of Top 10 Takeaways, but also that of the British Film Institute, Ricky Gervais, John Lennon, Martin Scorsese, and countless other legends of the industry.
Number 3. It's hard to tell who's worse, Basil or Sybil. Though Basil gets more scenery-chewing screen time and is clearly a monster to employees, friends, and guests alike, Sybil makes the best of her screen time by relentlessly undermining her husband, issuing marching orders, and avoiding doing any actual work herself. At worst, she is a verbally and physically explosive tyrant. At best, she is complicit in Basil's emotional and physical tyranny. The genius of the show is that despite all of their glaring faults, somehow you still end up liking them both.
Number 4. Polly and Manuel are loyal to Basil even though he doesn't deserve it. Polly and Manuel, but especially Manuel, are the non-stop victims of Basil Fawlty's tirades. He's constantly yelling at, demeaning, and even hitting them. Yet they are so blindly loyal that they end up assisting him in his harebrained schemes, oftentimes making themselves accessories to ridiculously unnecessary acts, all built on the foundation of Basil's dishonesty and outright disdain for his customers.
Number 5. Even most of the guests are awful people. How do you garner sympathy for people as terrible as Basil Fawlty and his crew of ne'er-do-wells? Book the hotel with insufferable guests. Each progressive episode introduces a new challenging guest for the inept crew at Fawlty Towers to attempt to please, which is especially difficult for Basil, considering he hates all of his guests. His moral and emotional bankruptcy, when met with the outlandish demands of Fawlty Towers' often reprehensible guests, makes for pure comedy gold, because every show is a no-win scenario for all parties involved.
Number 6. Basil is constantly entering occupied rooms. Not only does he have complete disregard for his guests' comfort by arguing with them, berating them, and creating a caterwaul outside their rooms, but he will break the ultimate boundary by bursting into the personal space that he sold them. What makes it funny is that though he often walks in on people in their underwear, he's usually doing so in order to catch people doing something that they're not doing, except for the one time that he's right. But he's been such a jerk for so long that nobody believes him. Were Basil Fawlty the proprietor of a hotel today, he would no doubt be put in prison many times over.
Number 7. The upstairs layout is constantly changing. Like the actors in the show, the lounge, lobby, and restaurant of Fawlty Towers are characters as well. Less consistently, the camera takes us into the labyrinthian upstairs of the hotel, which is constantly changing its layout to serve the comedy of any given episode. Though doors appear, disappear, and hallways are shortened and widened, the viewer never feels lost on account of the ballet of mayhem each script provides. The changing set simply becomes another dysfunctional character in the show.
Number 8. Mrs. Tibbs and Mrs. Gatsby are the only likable guests in the hotel. Peppered amongst the carousel of horrible guests, and the major, a senile old racist, are Mrs. Tibbs and Mrs. Gatsby. They are always trying to help with situations and have a kind word for anyone who will listen, though sadly, no one ever does, perhaps with the exception of Polly. Blind gratitude and kindness in the face of such cruelty and dismissal could only be achieved by people who have survived the Blitzkrieg bombings, though we really aren't sure why they just didn't book a different hotel.
Number 9. The Fawlty Towers restaurant is gross. Even when they have a highly recommended chef, the customers still complain about the quality of the food. They have terrible food safety practices, there are animals in the kitchen, rat poison is put on food, rodents run amok, they smoke while cooking, prep areas are used to store dead bodies, expired food is served, and undercooked meats are passed off to the guests as acceptable cuisine. Despite their complete inability to run a kitchen, they all seem blissfully unaware that they are not the gourmet restaurant they feel they deserve to be.
Number 10. Manuel is the punching bag of the show. Aside from Sybil's, "Oh, I know," "He's from Barcelona" is likely Fawlty Towers' most uttered catchphrase, and it is used to explain away the countless faults of Fawlty Towers, though none of the problems are ever actually or intentionally caused by Manuel. Manuel strives tirelessly to please his insufferable boss. His limited English vocabulary and penchant for taking the English phrases he does know literally paint him into many a corner from which there is no escape from Basil's finger-pointing and beratement. Guests are displeased with him. He is often providing a service that no one asked for. Basil and Sybil blame everything that goes wrong on him, though everything that Manuel gets wrong is a direct result of Basil's incompetence. If there's such a thing as sainthood for fictional characters, Manuel certainly deserves it.
For more conversation about Fawlty Towers, download the Spencer and Zach Explore the Universe podcast, available on all major platforms.
Do you have any takeaways from Fawlty Towers that we left out? Leave them in the comments below, and remember to like, share, and subscribe.
We will see you next week for another Top 10 Takeaways.